You're listening to episode 348 of the Major Issues podcast. Grab your notebook, your backpack, and your favorite cape as we recap and review 2005's Sky High. The Major Issues podcast starts right now. Hello everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this or even watching this, you can only be here for one reason. It's a brand new episode of the Major Issues podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I'm never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
All-Star Asa.
All-Star Asa is in the house. He's present, if you will, doing a bit of a roll call. But not even he is alone. Other sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
Yo, what up, party people? What up, nerddom? It's your boy A-Rob, the Marvel God.
A-Rob is back. The astonishing, the magnificent, the downright uncanny. A-Rob, the Marvel God, is here, but we're not here to talk about Marvel. We're actually here to talk a little bit pre-MCU, a blind spot, if you will, a film I have actually never seen until we put it on the Major Issues schedule. Sky High, which is about to celebrate its 20th year anniversary next year. It's so crazy. When you think of all the movies that have come before and since this film and how much the landscape for comic book movies have changed, not only that, but the cast in this has gone on to do amazing things and have been in multiple comic book films. So much comic book stuff. Before I let you guys know how I felt about the film, Asa, I'll start with you. What did you think when I put Sky High on the calendar, and why did you want to talk about it today?
I think I was the first person to volunteer for this movie, if I'm being honest. I know it kind of, we were hyped up about it. I remember seeing this, I guess I had to be in high school or just after, and it's such a fun movie. It is very Disney-fied, but I just remember really, really enjoying it, and then getting to go back and revisit a movie from my literal childhood is always a fun experience.
Yeah, I can agree with that. A-Rob, why Sky High?
Besides the pure nostalgia trip that it gave me, like it was a nice refresher to see like what was like comic book movies again, like before the MCU. So like that trip down memory lane is really nice. Like especially with the characters' names, they all have very comic book-esque names like Grayson, Stronghold, So I was really digging it. And the movie came out when I was like in junior high, so like I was definitely feeling the nostalgia.
I'll go ahead and tell you guys up front, I enjoyed this film. I thought this was very entertaining. Like most of the films for this demographic, not everything checks out 100% completely, but I don't think it's meant to be. I don't think it's meant to be meticulously picked apart. I liked a lot of what they presented here. I laughed out loud at several points. I agree with the same thing about the names and stuff. I mean, I downright died when I was introduced to Warren Peace.
Yeah, it's the best name.
Why?
It's the best.
Bro, like, why is that not a real comic book character's name?
Yeah.
The God of War, Warren Peace.
Yes.
But yeah, stuff like that was tremendous. As a fan of Scott Pilgrim, it was great to see Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this. As a fan of The Flash, it was great to see Daniel Panabaker in this. Kurt Russell is he's a legend in that. And not only that, but he's intimidating at parts in this. He doesn't hold back in his anger. You figure the father needs to be more composed in like a Disney film, but there's several points in which he's smashing things, screaming at the top of his lungs. He's really having a lot of fun in this. And it plays a lot with what you know about the genre. And also has a bit to say about marginalizing people on first impression. Yeah. So I thought all of that was great. I thought it was a fun time. But I will have more to say in our full recap and review because I want to take this thing a bit scene by scene, or at least, thematically, and kind of chop it up and talk about this movie. So if you haven't seen Sky High in 20 years, you still haven't seen it, maybe you're like me, pause this and go watch it. It's on Disney Plus. and then come back and listen to this episode and listen to us chop it up about Sky High. But we're going full spoilers, people, so be mindful. But first of all, let me go ahead and do some homework up front, let you guys know the nitty and the gritty. Sky High is a superhero comedy directed by Mike Mitchell, written by Paul Hernandez, Bill Schooley, and Mark McCorkle. The movie stars Kelly Preston, Michael Angarano, Daniel Panabaker, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Kurt Russell. It follows Will Stronghold, the son of two superheroes, as he navigates life at a airborne high school for superpowered teens. As his powers emerge, Will faces challenges with friends and a mysterious villain winning over his crush. This was released in the summer of 2005 by Buena Vista Pictures, and the film made $86.4 million on a $35 million budget. So damn near triple. It got mostly positive reviews and has since become a cult classic. One of the things I found out was, according to the actors who auditioned for various roles in this film, the main children's parts were were contracted for not only a sequel, but a possible television series.
I knew it! Damn it! I knew it! Oh! We're supposed to get a show?
Yeah, but it never happened. I don't know why. They would have been ahead of the game.
Man,
by a long shot.
At the time, that would have premiered right after Wizards of Waverly Place or Zack and Cody or whatever. It would have had a prime spot.
Yeah. Yep.
Bring it back.
Everyone, the main characters that we follow are all freshmen, so you still got 3 years to kind of flesh out. So, that's the other thing. Because I've never seen this film, like I said, I'm going to be saying this reminded me of this because that's the only frame of reference that I have. But I was getting a lot of also Harry Potter vibes from this.
I can see it.
You get what I'm saying?
I disagree with you, but I see it.
You see it, right? You see it, right?
Yeah.
So, going to a mystical faraway school, learning the rules of this new land or whatever, and then how everyone kind of fawns over Stronghold because of who his parents are. That also, I got that reminiscence of that's the the boy who lived and all that kind of stuff. But our movie opens up with a view of Maxville, the city protected by superheroes. Will Stronghold, the protagonist, introduces his parents through a voiceover. His father, Steve Stronghold, aka the Commander, played by Kurt Russell, is the world's strongest superhero with immense strength. His mother, Josie Stronghold, aka Jetstream, can fly at supersonic speeds. Why Jetstream? I feel like they really missed a cool couples, but I guess they were separate superheroes.
Yeah, right, Commander and Jetstream doesn't. Mr. Incredible.
Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl.
Maybe she should have been Master. Should have been Master and Commander. You know what I'm saying? They could have had a little bit of a thing going there. Kelly Preston is amazing in this film with the little that she does. You can already see that I'm a fan. I like to keep her around. I like to have her watch over my shoulder. I can't help but look at their suits and think of the what is it? The 4th of July popsicle.
You're right.
All that's in my head is the damn popsicle. These guys look like popsicles. And this is back in the day where these suits were so unwieldy that through Kurt Russell's suit is piping of cold water to kind of keep him a bit,
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Collected. Kelly Preston didn't have any because her suit was too tight. So she just, gritted her teeth and bared it through all that. And I think we're all better for it. But yeah, because I wouldn't go back to the drawing board on that suit there. So together they are Maxville's top superhero duo. Will's voiceover reveals that he feels pressure because he hasn't developed any powers yet, a secret he keeps from his parents, who are under the impression that he will soon inherit their abilities. Got a little bit of Invincible vibes from this, right? The whole when I've got to get them eventually. My dad is the guy.
It's this movie set the groundwork for a lot of
and then because of freaking Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm like, is the shoe gonna drop on Commander? Is he gonna be some sort of I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm gonna give you another little clue to that later on. I was like, oh, what's going on here? But yeah, what do you guys think of that initial conceit of like this kid has the most famous superhero parents in the world and doesn't seemingly think he's gonna have any powers?
Well, that high school trope of I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but instead of that, it's I don't have
Yeah.
power. But also, like the world they have is insane. Like
Yes.
the real, like they fought an octopus monster in Paris. There's a
Yes.
giant robot. Like
Yes.
the world they live in is nuts.
Right.
Right? Like, yo, I'm here for the lore. As soon as a Mac bill, I'm like, do other cities have villain and robot problems? Does the world have superheroes? Is it just this city? Who was the first superhero? Like, I'm a fiend for lore and world building because, like, I want to flesh this out. That's why I was so salty when you said we're supposed to get a show. Like, that would have been crazy. We probably could see War and Peace's dad, like, as a villain or a reformed hero or something. Like,
I mean, and to be honest, if they were going to go with that show, that probably would have been things they would have touched on. You know, they put Easter eggs, breadcrumb trails for a reason to eventually address them. But I guess, we're not going to end up seeing any of that.
It tripled this budget. That's a success.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Disney.
But you think that would have been good enough? It's funny that the people, the studio that produced this would eventually end up buying the MCU.
Yeah.
So it's ironic because he ended up in the superhero business anyway. But at the breakfast table, the commander and Jetstream talk about the challenges of balancing their real estate business with their superhero duties. Will's father, excited about Will's future as a superhero, assumes that his son will follow in his footsteps. So there's a lot here because not only is he going to superhero school, but he's going to the superhero school that his father did. So it's that whole legacy thing you were just talking about. And powers can be substituted for talents, right? If your dad was a great painter or a great football player, and now you're going to his school, his college, or whatever, you got expectations on you there. So I dug that, but I also dug that they were kind of excited about real estate. Like they still, usually it's depicted that whatever job that these superheroes have just to sort of lay low, that it's kind of menial, and whenever they can get out of there as soon as possible. But these guys seem to enjoy the real estate market. Then again, it's 2005, and it'll be a couple years until
pre-crash.
Until things get really bad. You want to see the evil commander and Jetstream in a couple years, man. It's gonna get there.
Also, that's a really genius, like I would say, job to have. It's a job where you can you show up, work for an hour or two, and you can disappear for a couple days at a time. That makes a lot of sense as a hero, if that's your alter ego's job.
Not only that, you'd know the whole town by the back the back of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You know all kinds of areas and stuff like that. It's very, very smart. So Will heads off to his first day at Sky High, a secret high school for superheroes that floats in the sky. His best friend Layla, played by Danielle Panabaker, has control over plant life and accompanies him.
OP.
Yes, Layla has a strong belief in using her powers only for peaceful purposes. Will is nervous about starting school without powers, but Layla is there to comfort him. Layla is what the kids would call nowadays woke. She doesn't want labels. Don't like labels. You know what I'm saying? She ain't about labels. She ain't about this separating people kind of stuff or using her powers all kind of willy-nilly. So I like that they made her seem like the oddball with these opinions. Like they made her seem like she's the weird girl because she's like, I don't want to hurt people with my powers and I don't think I should be shuffled into some sort of classification. So that there's that. Later, it would just kind of be revealed that she is fawning over Will, which Will thinks that he doesn't have powers. He is the luckiest student in this entire school.
Facts.
When he needs the ability to fly, he has the ability to fly. When he needs the ability to have super strength, he has the ability to have super strength. When he needs the ability to bag two girls in the same school, he has that ability. It's very important to not discredit him. He did have powers from the beginning. It was luck.
Power for safety.
Yes, you understand this? And bro, could you imagine with what has been made legal in this country, having a girlfriend who can control plants. That would change the game. Will, you're looking in the wrong direction. You understand? Like,
if anything, she doesn't need him.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, she's kind of slumming it. She gives him an apple, a fresh apple from a tree that she created, like God herself. And he's worried about other things. This is absolutely ridiculous. But I love these two here. So on the way to Sky High, they meet Ron Wilson, bus driver, a regular human being whose parents were superheroes. But he didn't inherit any powers. Ron, proud of his bus driving duties, takes the students to school by launching the bus into the air, taking them into Sky High, which is hidden above the clouds. The school looks like a futuristic fortress floating in the sky. So I was a bit confused here because he's all like, they're like, oh, are you the bus driver to Sky High? He's like, yo, calm the hell down. You want us, all these villains, to figure out where the school is? And then he's like, all right, kids. And he just rockets ships. Like, if anyone's causing a scene here, Ron, it's you jumping off of a bridge with these kids not knowing what's going on. So they're all screaming, thinking they're about to die, and then flying off. But I do like the enthusiasm that Ron has.
I like the prank.
As a bus
I like
driver.
the Farva.
You got to mess with the freshman. You got to.
Is he? Where have I seen that man before?
He's Farva. He was in Super Troopers.
He was in Super Troopers. I don't know.
He looks so damn familiar.
Yeah, my note says Farva.
Yeah, it's the mustache, bro. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's the mustache. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at him, I'm like, he's been in something else comedic. Like I know this face. Okay, awesome. So upon arrival, the freshmen are taken to the gym for a power placement test, overseen by the loud and intimidating Coach Boomer. Before we even get there, they get there and immediately we're introduced to the bullies. The bullies. Yeah, the bullies. And there's like a stretchy guy and a fast guy. And there's like people just using their powers all willy-nilly on the quad. One woman just freezes a man like in his place. I'm just
right,
like,
and they stayed frozen all day.
Yeah, I'm like, is he dead? He's dead, right?
You're dead, right?
I'm almost certain that his ass is dead. But I think he did try to do something with her skirt. So I mean,
if he later on, I bet he's reformed. He won't do that.
Right? He'll never do that. Well, blood doesn't rush there anymore, Asa. The tundra has its effects. Okay. So the other thing in this is that like. They're trying to determine with a test whether or not students will be classified as heroes or sidekicks. They also call it psychics hero support, which I don't know why. It just sounds like weird and like
it's demeaning. Like sidekicks died with Jason Todd.
Right.
like they're partners. They're the other half. Like I haven't heard the word sidekick in like the past 10 years. Yeah, so like when I heard it and it started getting classified, I'm like, yo. That's elitist. That's classism. Because some of these powers can evolve, can change, can be super helpful depending on the situation.
Right.
Like
it is because of these archaic tests that we get the villain that we get because people didn't get her powers, and thus you create villains this way.
Facts.
One by one, the students start to showcase their powers. We have an Ethan who melts into a puddle of water. So he gets thrown into a sidekick squad. Magenta shapeshifts into a guinea pig. So, thrown into the sidekick squad. Zach can glow, but like faintly. I don't know where that power, what use that has. But he ends up, getting put into the sidekick squad. And when it's Will's turn, Will fails to show any ability, so he ends up getting thrown into the sidekick squad as well. This moment is devastating for Will, especially since his parents have high expectations from him. He tries to hide his disappointment as he joins the other sidekicks in Mr. Boy's class. What's weird in this is like it's not only are their powers not impressive, but they're also socially awkward. I don't know if that has anything to do with their powers. You get me? Like, what if these were like all jocks? What if these were like triathletes, but they had the same powers? Are they still relegated to Sidekick Squad? Maybe.
Ooh, live action.
You know, I'm curious about that.
I would be upset because I've taken several superpower tests in my life, and the majority of them always say mind control or some type of brain control. So, like, I'm Professor X plus my legs can work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
so you got one over on him.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna be here, and if I'm not a hero, you just made a villain.
100%. But also later on we'll get to it when he's talking to his dad. But by the time you get to the middle of this film, sidekick is a slur. It's outright like mudblood. Like a sidekick. I wouldn't bring a sidekick home. Imagine if I would have brought a sidekick home to your grandfather. And I was like, oh. You replace that word with almost any other word.
No, any other word is bad.
This is it's
I bet Grandpa was a fan of redlining. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yes. Do you see those people moving in next door?
Yeah. I bet they're all sidekicks.
Yeah. Those nefarious sidekicks. So in superhero class, Will meets more of his classmates, and he meets Mr. Boy, who was once the commander's sidekick, who teaches him how to assist heroes. He's kind but awkward, constantly reminiscing about the days of working with Commander. What's weird about this is this never comes full circle. Like, I thought there would be a moment where, like, Commander would see him and be like, you've been here this whole time. I'm so sorry for, like, it's been like 20 years and I haven't even called or anything. And God, it's good to see him, but he's always big leagued by Commander for the rest of this movie. And kind of made to be kind of like a joke. He has Dick Grayson-esque clothing, like a collared shirt and little short shorts. That's his parlor trick, right? That he can just dress up. He can just put on his outfit.
Like, is that his power? He can just change quick.
Yeah, on a whim.
He's really good at it, and so he does it like 4 times in this movie without anyone asking him to. He would just disappear behind a corner and come back. Yeah, come back like that. What did you guys think about the idea that Commander didn't tell his son that he had a sidekick? Is that just another layer of how?
I just think it shows you how elitist the world kind of is.
Yeah,
at the superhero level.
Yeah,
I mean, you almost feel bad for him, but I kind of thought he reminded me of a Bucky Barnes like we're gonna make him Winter Soldier
when he was a kid,
when he was just Bucky Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, see, I was getting that vibe too. I was getting that vibe, and like what you said earlier, the Dick Grayson, like the early Robin vibe. You had the cape, the shorts, the gloves, the little mask, and everything. I'm like, that is the sidekick template. Robin was the template for sidekicks.
He was number one. The thing that made me kind of smile, because I'm like, oh, this is kind of true. Like, you know how sometimes something gets presented and I'm like, you know, your mind starts to fucking, the cogs start to move. So someone says, when do we get our names? And in my head, I go, you don't, because it would have to be something corresponding to the hero. Batman and Robin kind of, you know, and that's what he says. He goes, you don't. You'll get your name and your costume, you know, once you get assigned to a hero at some point, and that you'll be wearing the opposite colors of them, you know, not to clash. You don't want to get in their lane. And that's famously the joke with Robin, is that he wears those colors to distract and possibly draw fire towards him while
bullets.
Yeah, while Batman is out and about in the shadows and stuff. So I thought that was well played. Because again, this thing plays a lot on superhero lore, but it makes a point. Like, this is kind of how it operates in the pages of these comics. But yeah, superhero support just feels like tech support. It feels like, you know, like substitute teacher kind of thing. Like, hey, just let me know how I can help you. Nothing against substitute teachers, obviously. They're great.
Well, he says there was like one time I saved him with a crossbow. Yeah, and then when they were studying, and he's like, well, if I get the crossbow, why don't I just use the crossbow? I'm like, you don't get it. You're superhero support.
Right, yeah. Yeah, he's like, okay, so, you know, should I give him the crossbow? He's like, no, if I have the crossbow, why don't I just shoot the crossbow? Yeah, they're not given any agency. Everything they do is supposed to be in service of the hero as a sidekick.
That's crazy. That's crazy how the writing was back in 2005. Like that's what comics were.
But I think that's surface level knowledge of the genre, right? Like,
Yeah.
I guess if you don't dive any deeper, that's how all sidekicks kind of look. Like they're just
There to support the hero. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not their own people. It took me reading Batman, being like, oh damn, like Dick will put him in his place. I'm like, yo, calm the hell down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? We can square up, and I'll be like, damn, all right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny, the evolution of what a sidekick has become, but yeah, they're still kind of playing on the surface level of the genre at that moment. In contrast to hero class, where students are trained in combat and power usage, sidekick class focuses on helping heroes, handling gadgets, and learning how to stay out of danger. Will tries to keep a low profile, but feels increasingly inadequate without powers. He ends up experiencing the harsh social divide between heroes and sidekicks. The school's popular students like Speed, a super fast student, and Lash, who can stretch out his limbs, bully the sidekicks. Will is teased for being powerless, and Layla defends him using her plant powers to stop the harassment. In the cafeteria, Will has a tense encounter with War and Peace, played by Stephen Strait, a student with pyrotechnic powers. Warren harbors a grudge against Will because the commander, Will's father, put Will's villain father in prison. Warren's villain father in prison. Warren threatens Will, setting up a rivalry that will persist throughout the film. We're gonna get into like their little scuffle, but
I call it a matchstick just because of the way he has to activate his powers. Like you have to flick a lighter.
No,
He has to-
He's pyro.
yeah,
He's not, but he's not for legal reasons.
yes. But as I'm watching this, I'm like, he can kill him. Like, where are the security guards? Like at one point, half of the lunchroom is on fire. Yeah. Oh, he runs out to go get the principal.
He runs to go get help.
Well, they tell him to go do something at first, and he's like watching. He's like drinking a soda. And he's kind of watching. He's like, oh yeah, I probably should do something. But it wasn't like I should do something and stand in the middle. It was I should do something and get somebody else to come and help me.
Yeah, let me get a hero.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, I guess, for a sidekick. But I'm watching like him burn the lunch tray and him burn the buffet section, and I'm like, do they just let the kids just?
Yeah.
Like,
I was thinking about that. I'm like, they must have a lot of faith and trust in these kids since it's like a hero school and they got to pay tuition for them to be there. So I'm like, they must be really lax on the rules with these kids and their powers.
right.
Because like you said, they just really nearly use their powers. There's no power dampeners anywhere, or nothing, no collars, no X-Men-esque like how to depower them. It's just free willy-nilly. All property damage. Go for it.
Warren's goal was, I'm assuming, to kill Will, right?
Yeah,
like,
he was yeah.
He's not like, oh, I just want to burn him and scare him or anything like that. Like, he's actively trying to murder him.
He's literally out for revenge for his dad.
And is
Throw
that
a ball at his face?
yes?
A fireball at his face.
That's what I'm saying. This is not like anything that can be misconstrued as like horseplay or, like this is a murderous student here, and their big sort of method of discipline is like detention. And not only detention, but both of you are going to detention. He tried to murder me. I have several witnesses over here. I did nothing. All I did was defend myself. The fact that I'm in detention for this is absolute garbage. But
that's how the school system works in America. It don't matter.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
fair,
bully,
yeah.
but you will still get in trouble when you defend yourself.
So
Yeah,
what
you're right.
Didn't
Yeah.
happen. He didn't
A lot of social commentary going on with America and with superhero world.
there you go. The post 9/11 society. See what's going on here? So during lunch, the tension between Will and Warren comes to a head. Warren shoots fireballs at Will in front of the entire school. And in the heat of the moment, Will finally manifests his super strength, his father's power. Again, if you ask me, his power is luck. So Will punches Warren, causing massive destruction in the cafeteria. Both are sent to Principal Powers. Linda Carter, Very, very happy to see Linda in this.
Yes.
Still, still a looker. And she has a superpower. She has a superhero ability to turn into light. She breaks up the fight, punishes them both with detention, but the incident makes it clear that Will is now a hero because he has powers. So one of the things is that you were talking about power dampeners. Apparently, the detention hall is a power dampening place that you could send these kids to. I don't understand why just classrooms wouldn't be power dampened. In general.
Well, the Layla.
Yeah.
She set up the gate. We could only use our powers in gym class. But then again, first day on the quad, freeze a guy. They're in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Like, clearly those rules don't apply to anybody.
I also I could understand Speed, being like a handful and a bully, but that long arm guy would have got day one, day two. You understand? Like, I would have seen that. And it's also messing with me because every time I look at it, it reminds me of the sand snake from Beetlejuice.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. The black and white, yeah.
So to go off on a completely different nerd tangent,
Go ahead.
In the anime Rurouni Kenshin, he's like a master samurai. I won't get too far into it. But so his whole thing is he can read people's fighting styles. So there's one guy that fights with his hands, and he's like whooping his ass because he has the striped, the black and white sleeves, and so he can't accurately judge how long his reach is.
Oh, wow.
So it felt very reminiscent of that during their fight. But also with the guy whose name is Speed. I like that we have a heavy set speedster. That's something I've never seen in anything ever.
Right? Never have.
Yeah.
Never have.
How many calories does he eat per day to stay so heavy and also that's got to be 50,000 calories easy.
Yes. The fun fact about that as well, the original script called for someone a bit more athletic, but when the actor read for Speed, they ended up liking him so much that they changed all the stuff around, about him being athletic to him just being a bigger boy. And in a world where anything could happen, I mean, is that crazy of an idea?
No.
Not at all.
Will's parents are thrilled when they find out that he finally developed powers. Well, after the fact, when he first gets home, they try to read him the riot act. And again, I'm on Will's side. He comes in and he's like, I got powers. And like, the principal, whatever. I almost got murdered. You can smell the smoke in my hair. All right. I almost got murdered the first day of that school y'all sent me to. When I told you I didn't have no powers, and y'all was just like, oh, don't even worry about it. And now, I got powers. So can we just be good on that? But I love that his dad brings him downstairs and is like patting him on the back and is like, oh, just tell your mom that I yelled at you or whatever. Tell your mom I took away your Xbox. And he's like, I don't have an Xbox. He goes, ah! Now you do. Congratulations, because you got powers. So yeah, that made me laugh. It's ironic though, because I think maybe in a contemporary version of this film, the idea would be that he has to kind of make it without it, right? Like I feel like the trope usually is I don't have powers and I find out that my power is friendship or my power is, it's Encanto. It's Encanto, right? Like everybody here's got powers. My power is I have great conflict resolution or something like that, And,
I can cure family trauma.
Yeah. There you go. But in this, it's like, I don't have any powers. Yeah, I got them now. Don't even worry about it. Not only do I got them, I'm eclipsing all of my friends who were friends with me when I have no powers. And that's what you got to think about, kids. They were
friends when I was nobody.
They were sitting with this lame when he couldn't do nothing. And as soon as he could lift the lunch table over his head, he's hanging out with the cool kids. I'm telling you, it'd be your own. So, let's see. Will's parents are thrilled. Yep, Will is promoted to the hero class, where he trains with other students who have active superpowers. Will's newfound powers elevate his status. He's invited to hang out with the popular kids, including Gwen Grayson, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, a senior. and student body president. Love seeing Mary Elizabeth in this. She ends up doing Scott Pilgrim, and then she would also go ahead and do Birds of Prey, where she played the Huntress. But this is when my spider sense started to tingle, because I heard the word Grayson, and I'm like, there's two Graysons in comics. One's a hero and one's a sidekick. Yeah. She's not a sidekick, so she's not part of the Flying Grayson family, who are all killed, the acrobats, besides Nightwing. The other Grayson family is headed by Nolan Grayson, aka Omni-Man. So I'm looking at her and I'm like, Grayson, I'm gonna be looking out for you. And also, and I spoke about this when we covered The Mask, right? This is also a common trope in, I guess, maybe just school stuff or romantic stuff, where the girl he wants to be with is to his right all along, but he's looking forward and trying to, get a bigger prize, if you will. And you all end up reverting and finding out that the person to your right was, the person you were meant to be with all along. They completely remixed that in The Mask, where I was thinking that Cameron Diaz was the girl too good for her, Jim Carrey, and he was gonna hook up with the reporter. But no, he's gonna bag Cameron Diaz, and he'll be fine with it. So I'm like, okay, I wonder how this Grayson thing is gonna line up. Were there any sort of alarm bells for you guys when you first watched this film with Miss Grayson here?
No, I thought she was just the popular girl, senior. Why is she talking to the freshman? I guess she's being nice. I mean, he is the son of the strongest hero, so maybe they tried to be the power couple in the high school. So
yeah, I can see that.
It was kind of the same. I know we're not quite there yet, but I love being a technopath as a power set. It is or as far as I'm aware, it was so underused for so long that it's a really cool power set. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Forge, right? Forge has those abilities in X-Men. And at the time, because of our limited knowledge of what technology was, it was like he could fix a radio, or he can reboot your Windows 95 or something like that. But it's like, no, he can, make anything his mind can wrap around.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that they incorporate that into her backstory. This idea that when she presented these abilities in the beginning, people didn't take her seriously because they didn't know what a technopath was, or they didn't realize the extent of what a technopath could be. So she's seemingly interested in Will. She wants to spend more time with him. That's a little bit weird because one's a senior, one's a freshman. And again, I'm like, what's going on here? Also, maybe I missed something, but when does Royal Pain's clan start? When does she know?
15 years before.
Yeah, she goes, I'm going to go to school. I know he has a kid, and eventually they'll be in the same school together.
Well, and I think she, or he, we're not there.
Them.
I think Royal Pain's plan was the plan that we see. Mm-hmm. However, when everything happened, they just go, okay, well, I got to alter it a little bit now, and I'll get it soon. I'll get it in the timeline of the movie.
Right. Yeah. And again, I don't think it's meant to be dug that deep, but eventually I was like, wait. I was like, how long has this con been going on? She's been going to school. This is his first day, so she's been going to school. She became student body president twice, I guess. She's been going to high school. She went to high school twice. But hey, man, I'm all about the long con. I appreciate her dedication.
Can't hate it.
Yeah, I appreciate her dedication. It's got to be hard to go back to. I couldn't do it, man. Go back to high school and just meander until your plan comes.
I would be the coolest, smartest person. I'm not doing a lick at anything. Are you kidding me? I'll just let my charisma do all the work. Also, I'll take a test. I'm out. I ain't showing up for class.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Except for math. I have to go to that class. I don't know enough about math. I couldn't math. I'll be there. History, got it.
Right. History, got it. Science, got it. English, got it.
Yeah.
Math, all right. I'll be Can I get that last period?
Yeah, I might have to go back for remedial math. And then again, the further I am from school, the worse I am at math. So I might need to wrap around. I haven't used variables in quite some time. So, she convinces Will to join the homecoming committee and invites him to the dance. However, as Will grows closer to Gwen, he starts to neglect Layla and his psychic friends. This is also something that happens in high school all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you ride or die with some people for a couple of years. Sometimes that stuff kind of falls apart depending on proximity, who lives closer, who has classes together, all that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, that's probably the part of this that makes me the most sick to my stomach is the dynamics in school. The social dynamics in school are so trash. You're supposed to be focusing on the education that's supposed to, take you to the next levels of your life. But you're just neck deep in social drama the entire time. Who's dating who's with who has a crush on who wants to hit me? That's what your daily life is in high school. And then on top of that, you have powers that could possibly murder people. So it can't be easy for these kids. They have it worse than me because damn. I never had I had people who bullied me when I was younger. None of them had fire powers. None of them could throw a fireball at my face.
God.
Some of them probably sell fireball now, but
yeah. Good for them. Small business.
Hey,
we all need them.
Get it? I'm at. Put the fries in the bag, but. Where do you sit on this big leaguing? Do you think he just was completely oblivious to this stuff? Do you have a little bit of sympathy for him given all this entire new world, this entire new landscape?
So, we have the setup right now in the movie is he realized him and Layla are falling apart, or their friendship's falling apart. He's like, oh, we'll go eat Chinese food even though I hate it. And it's a big thing. But I think it's also kind of always being a not cool person, and now you're invited to the cool people. You're invited to the ballers. You're invited to all those. I think it's really hard we should cut our 14-year-old friend a little bit of slack just for not having the social wherewithal. Also, if he hasn't figured out she's in love with him all this time, he ain't gonna figure out until someone tells him.
Yeah. And the thing is, maybe because I'm older, but it's so clear that Layla's the one for him. It's so clear that she cares about him and she cares about how he feels about things, and she will sit and hear him out, when he's going through his struggles and stuff. What about you, A-Rob? What do you think of? Are you on Will's side here, where he's just well, now that I'm a hero, I don't really need to be hanging out with the sidekicks anymore?
I was with him up until he started, not realizing, but he started to neglect his friends. He got caught up in all of it. Freshman, so 14, 15-year-old, new powers, all the testosterone and the chemicals in your brain and body is going. So you're not thinking straight. Your actions are off. You're not thinking about the repercussions of your actions.
Yeah.
He's just doing. So I'm 50-50 with it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the point where, and I get, it's so funny. I've seen this. This is a real thing that happens. Yeah. I've seen this happen. And my right side of my brain says, when that girl multiplies on the table and says there's no room for anybody else, you turn and you go, hey, you make room for my friends. But my left side of my brain goes, and that's how you get kicked out of the cool kids table. And he was not trying to rock any boats. He just got his invite and he's not about it. Did you guys have this lunchroom thing of where you sat and where you get to sit kind of stuff?
Yeah, we definitely did. It's the band side, sports side, people that don't do shit, they just come to school.
Yeah. What about you, Asa?
So much.
Not so much.
There were cliques. But
definitely
was big enough and also small enough that there was a lot of commingling in a lot of directions.
But that's always been played up in these things, right? Who you get to sit with, who you're allowed to sit with, kind of stuff. So I believe they're getting it from somewhere. And yeah, I mean, Layla is an angel in this, and I say that like in the most platonic way possible. So anytime her feelings are hurt in this, and they hurt like
Will's the bad guy. Will's the
constantly.
villain. Like,
Yeah, constantly. I'm like, I feel bad for her. She has a very sad face, Layla. So like even in this, she like tries to take it on the chin, and like you said, he'll go over to her later on and be like, hey, you know, sorry about the lunch thing. And she's like, I don't really care about it. Don't even worry about it. And he's like, you know, we should go eat Chinese food. And this is a love language thing going on. Cause he goes, we should go eat Chinese food. And she goes, you hate Chinese food. And he goes, yeah, but you like it. And that's an olive branch moment. And I'm like, wow, bro, that you might back. That was a pretty good, you know, like I'll do that for you because I know you like it, even though I don't. And he drops the ball.
Hard.
He drops the fortune cookie,
so
bro.
bad.
He absolutely drops the fortune cookie. Absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, he ends up choosing to hang out with Gwen instead of hanging out with Layla. She gets left at the Chinese restaurant and ends up kind of becoming fast friends with War and Peace, who works at the Chinese restaurant. And Gwen seems very, I think the kids say fast, in the sense that she ends up at his house. She ends up meeting his parents. She ends up in his room. You're like, oh, this stuff is happening really, really fast.
my man.
My man. You just think at one point that he is just killing it until you realize that she's been trying to get into this, you know, trying to get back at the commander for years. But this could all even be perceived from the beginning of the whole, like, what is it called? Leaving her behind kind of stuff, standing her up. You know, Gwen could have been playing that long game too, where he's like, oh, okay, no, we're going to your house. You know what I'm saying? But I got, no. Come on. We're hanging out at your house.
She seemed very meticulous in everything she did. Everything, it felt, I would say, so planned out, because that's how it kind of comes off. Now, obviously, there's no way she could predict, oh, this will happen, but like everything seemed very intentional.
Yeah.
But yeah, well.
And again, how much of a genius intellect do you need to set teenagers on the right path, right? Like,
Not much.
You don't need much of anything at all. She literally goes like, I know we said we are going to do this next week, but do you mind if I come over tonight? He's like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Not thinking his parents explicitly said, nobody come over. And they were gone for 2 hours.
I heard, and you know, when he brought him down and, you know, gave him the Xbox and stuff like that, I specifically remember, you know, him saying the line, you know, rule number 1, we don't let anybody into the sanctum. And I'm like, nothing in dialogue is by mistake. Yeah, nothing in dialogue is by mistake. The fact that he said that. And then it makes me think back, because one of my other old jokes is like in the, I love them, but in the original, like 4 Batman films, people were constantly getting into the Batcave. He brought Vicky Vale into the Batcave. He was like dating her, and he just brought her into the Batcave. Robin, Dick Grayson just like does some like tumble salts and slides into the Batcave before the door closes, and he gets his ass into the Batcave. Alicia Silverstone figures out the password to the Batcave and like, like for a second, types it in.
I bet it was the password.
Yeah, it was password 1.
Yeah.
so you gotta put a number in there, bro. You gotta up the security. So he put, you know, she gets in there and the other thing that made me laugh, when she breaks in, everything turns on. Like everything, the cars come up, the screens come up, when Alicia Silverstone gets into the Batcave. I'm like, that's a terrible function of your headquarters, is that when you open the door, all your stuff turns on and presents itself to whoever the hell walks in. But yeah, she's like, we don't do the sanctum. Do not bring him into the sanctum. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see if he can be a stronghold and, you know, listen to his parents in that moment.
During this scene, that you kind of, it goes back and forth between Layla at the Chinese restaurant being stood up, and then Will with his mom and dad, and what's her face? I can't think of her name.
Gwen?
Yeah, Gwen. and this is them going through, and you see them. Oh, this was Sue, whatever, and it's like, oh, that's not important at all.
Oh yeah, Sue Tenny.
And then it was like, and this is the guy that becomes like the Baron or whatever, and then like it flips over to Layla at the restaurant, and she's meeting War and Peace, and then you see this completely different brooding side where he's like, hey, and he's just being like a nice person. It was such a really fun like how are my notes? It says just the depth of each character. Where you see it is out of school, where he's just like a working kid, and you kind of get that the Cobra Kai vibe, or the one kid like has to work for a living, and like he's helping his mom pay for everything, and whereas
the brooding nature that he presents is because of all the pressure that he's dealing with out of school.
And then you have Stronghold, who's just kind of like this super hyper popular kid because of who his parents are and what he can do, and everything's just being handed to him.
He's winning the lottery, bro. His luck, his superpower, man.
And he's not even doing. It's almost this up to this point. It's almost like he truly doesn't matter in this story. Everything's happening with or without him. This is the part where the movie kind of flips, and it makes sense where he's like now he's driving the car as opposed to it being a Tesla.
No. No, I agree. I agree. No, I think it. No, I agree. I agree with you. And also, like, as far as foreshadowing, when he's down in the sanctum, the whole like, this is the pacifier. Don't touch the pacifier. I'm like, oh, okay, so the pacifier is going to be a thing. The gun's going to be a thing. Okay. Also, while this is happening, I have not said this, but in my notes, there is like a robot. Part of the robot that was destroyed early on is surveilling the Stronghold family, and a villain voiced by Patrick Warburton keeps choking sidekick villain known. I think later on we find out it's called Stitches, but my ears knew Jim Rash from Community because he's the dean on Community, right? And I'm like, okay, so that's Dean Pelton. Okay, I was like, that's great. I didn't know he was in this. That's fantastic. And later on, when she gets dropped off, that's her dad. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on there? I know who that is. And I love that he's like, do you have 8 arms? Are you the boy with the 8 arms? He's like, no. He's like, keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
So I like that as well. But yeah, she hides her disappointment. Layla does by being left out. And she eventually, like I said, becomes fast friends with the Warren. She actually just kind of sees him for who he is. And I think this is when he just straight up says, like, how long have you been in love with him? Because Warren ain't about all this small talk, right? He's been living a hard life, hard drinking, hard smoking. So he's like, what's going on, girl? And she's like, I just love, I've loved him, whatever. So we know for a fact that they're in love. I may not even have this in my notes, but when he goes up to her later on and she like presents the fortune cookie, he just eats it. He has no clue what the hell's going on. He's just like, I love these. And he eats it. I'm like, she should smack you right now. She should give you poison ivy. She should just put poison ivy down your face and see if Gwen still likes you after that. Also, if anyone has any sort of like cares about a legacy in any sort of way, get this woman to play some version of Pamela Isley, some version of Poison Ivy somewhere down the line. She's deserved it. It's been 20 years. She's been in the Flash. She's part of the DC universe. Give my girl Panna Baker a shot at Poison Ivy. I think she could do a good job. Plus that hair. I mean, come on.
James Gunn, we know you're listening. You got to get on this. We won't even take credit. You do it. No. You're a genius.
No, and you can just send those checks over. No, I'll give you the address. I didn't say not send him. I'm gonna give him the address, in private. I don't want to. It's a little gauche to be announcing it on the podcast.
Just go to ComicBookClique.com, buy a couple shirts.
That's it, baby. A couple hundred. You feel me?
Yeah.
So what's interesting is, like you said, this is kind of ping ponging between Gwen and Will and Warren and Layla during production of this film. Will, or the actor who plays him, and Gwen were actually in a romantic relationship. Also, Layla and Warren were in an active relationship. I don't know if that's a work proximity thing, but it had to have been very weird at the end to then make them kiss each other when all four of them are dating. I'm not a director. I'm not a writer. I don't plan these things. But man, again, that age, social circles, it's gotta be weird. Gotta be weird. Things come to a head when Gwen visits Will's house while his parents are out and throws a party. This is also a classic trope of like, these ABC Family sort of things is like, oh, it's just a couple of people, and then it's everybody at the school. They're all doing all kinds of crazy stuff around the house, and he is just goo goo gaga over Gwen, so he can't put his foot down when it comes to this situation. And she ultimately convinces him to go into the sanctum. What do you think about Will's inability to combat any of this sort of, or to see any of this espionage coming?
Classic teenager trope. Distracted by everything, caught up in his hormones, and just
power boners. Power boners going on here.
The wrong place.
All the blood going. Yeah, all the blood
wrong place.
I would have been getting with that magenta girl. She seems cool. She's like a guinea pig or whatever. Like.
I did appreciate the setup though. Like it was a nice like bait and switch. Like how she distracted him, how she had like the other students in on it, the bullies in on it, I guess, to help her plan come to fruition.
Well, that's also something that they did lead a breadcrumb trail with that, because they also said that that's why Sue got suspended or something. Tully got suspended because she was trying to enlist supervillains.
She left the school because she was either making a group of villains or she got sick or something. Yeah, and I was like, that's
it was
funny.
One of the two. To kind of like shrug that off. But I remember that line about her trying to make a group of supervillains. So when it's later revealed that the bullies are on her side, I'm like, yeah. And again, she's been baking this plan. She's been in school for 4 years. So she's been, getting under people's skin. She's getting, people under her own influence. So that I think all that stuff is interesting. So later on, she manipulates Will into inviting his parents to a homecoming dance to receive a prestigious award that she basically made up. It's like, it's very strange. Like I guess if your dad was like LeBron James, you would try to get him to this prom, right? I guess like you would try to, if you knew somebody whose dad was LeBron James, you'd make up an award to see if you show up to homecoming.
My favorite friend's dad.
Yeah. Unbeknownst to them, Gwen has a hidden agenda. Meanwhile, Layla confronts Gwen at the party, trying to warn Will about her, but Will brushes her off. Fully believing Gwen's innocent persona, heartbroken, Layla leaves, but eventually it all comes out that, cause she snitches on herself. She says, I told Layla you don't need her anymore. And I'm like, you kind of made that a bit blatant. And he breaks up with her, which I guess is
everybody.
In front of everybody. That's some cool.
My notes say, hey, Will has a spine. Like that's part of my note.
And doesn't she says something along those lines, like, you're not going to break up with me in front of everybody, right? He goes, yes, I am. I have broken up with you, and it is in front of everybody. And then he goes, everybody get out. And I'm like, he's putting his foot down, but then his parents are right there.
It's the worst timing.
Yeah. I like the gag. I didn't mention it, but I like the gag where his dad breaks so many phones that he has phones.
That was a funny joke. I like that. I like when super strong people get funny jokes like that. Like just a fish out of water. I
thought that was a funny joke. I also think the idea that he thought that his son was being relegated to sidekick because of some weird grudge he had with Coach Boomer or whatever years ago. He's like, that Boomer, he freaking, that sidekick thinks he can make my son a sidekick. And I was like, damn, I got some issues going on here. But they have that moment in the kitchen earlier on where like you could have subbed that word for orientation or, any of that kind of stuff. He's like, I'm a sidekick, Dad, all right? I'm a sidekick. Like, he's coming out. He's coming out to his father. He kept his secret all this time. Came out to his father. He's accepted by his friends. But now he finds himself with no friends because he's big leagued everybody. Layla's pissed off. she went all the way over there for him and kind of got told off. So, I don't blame her for how she reacted to everything. But they end up doing the homecoming dance. She would go, Layla ends up saying that because Warren asks, her about how long she's loved Will, which prompts her to actually tell Will that she loves him. But before she can do that, Will tells her that he's going to the prom with Gwen. I feel like I'm in high school right now with all these he, she, Gwen, and he's going to the prom with. But in Revenge, she then says she's going into the prom with Warren. Have any of you guys ever pretended to do something like this out of spite?
Yes, don't say it on here in case someone's listening.
Right. I dig it. I could dig it. But kids can be spiteful. In high school, this could be even more spiteful. Yeah. This idea of I know he's your villain and you're already pissing me off right now, so I'm going to ask him out to the dance. But I like that Warren's not oblivious to it. He's like, this is obviously a ploy. Like, you're just trying to get him mad. But he's also down with it. 100%. I'll ride this boat till it crashes. Let me know where we going. But he also says, I ain't gonna rent no suit. And to be honest, he didn't. He borrowed his dad's. But, I like the maturity that they gave him. We should also talk. What do you guys think about the Save the Citizen?
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was hilarious, especially when they said they had live citizens at one point.
Yeah. He said, remember when we used to use real citizens? I laughed so hard at that joke.
Dave Foley has impeccable comedic timing. He's great in everything that he's in. He kills it in this. And like I said, when he drops that line just willy-nilly, I love that idea that, they shouldn't allow students to play villains. Maybe the coach should be a villain or another teacher should be a villain. I don't know why Again,
maybe one of those foreshadowing things where it's like, oh, the bully's playing the villain. That's weird.
And even the teacher at the time, he's like, "Oh, you guys want to be boys and like villains?" He's like, "Oh yeah, surprising." And it's like, y'all fostering this, y'all doing this, y'all letting them be the villains. It's a school.
Also, we've not mentioned that the coach is Bruce Campbell. Just for everyone.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Bruce Campbell for everybody, just for the record.
Yes, and this is a man who's got his geek bona fides. He's got all his stripes, and he would have just been in between Spider-Man movies. He would have been, because he ends up being the usher at one point in one, and then the other one with the
allegedly,
and then the one with the one is an usher in one, and he's a waiter in the other with the ring. He puts in the glass.
That was in 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously Evil Dead. Come on, people. But yes, I'm trying to think of anything back in rock. I like Medulla. I like that name for the big-headed brain teacher. His name is Medulla. Okay. I like the line where he's getting everyone to build the rays, and he goes, "This is more of a beam." I was like, that's just ridiculous. That's all. It doesn't make any sense.
You can't tell the difference in a ray and a beam.
Yes. So the night of the homecoming dance, they bring in a homeboy says he's not going out after all. Will's just not going to go. He's over this whole entire thing. Warren still goes with Layla. Everybody else ends up still going. While this is happening, Will is looking through the yearbook. And that's when he comes up with this idea that quite possibly Gwen could be somebody else. And what's funny is I think that the only difference between Sue Tenney and Gwen is glasses, which
her hair's a little different too. Just a little.
Yeah, her hair's a little bit different too.
A little different.
But they kind of play on this, right? Because earlier in the film, when Layla sees the commander without his glasses, she knows he's the commander. And then she's like, put on your glasses. And it's like just that superhero trope of looking completely different because you do or do not have glasses on. So I thought that was
or a hat.
A little dig. Or a hat. So Um, they go and they present, and again, your son's not going to this prom, but you're gonna go, or homecoming, but you're gonna go to accept an award. Commander's got a bit of an ego on him, I think. And I think that's been put on there, that's been on full display for this entire film. This idea that my son could not be a sidekick or lesser than, and we have to be, that's the biggest thing, right? They're trying to do a franchise, like, as a family. Like, as a family. Yeah.
Three.
Yeah.
Well, like I want to know how was Commander, like, was he like not like one of the cool guys in high school? Because he is living vicariously through Will for a lot of this movie. Like, why aren't you in that? We're not in that class. Like, everything is about like, why aren't you doing this really, really cool thing that I think you should do? And I know it's kind of that 2000s trope of, you're not like your parents and they shouldn't relegate you to do whatever. But like, it very much seemed like he's living vicariously. Like,
oh yeah,
you date the beautiful girl. That's a senior while you're a freshman. Yeah. So,
and I'll let her go up to your room and do you guys do?
Make sure that door's closed.
Well, they were fine because she fixed the garbage disposal. That's all they needed. Like, all right, girl, you're good.
Make sure you close the door. I won't take your mom with dinner.
Yeah, me and your mom going to the sanctum. That's about to go on now. I mean, come on, look at that woman. But anyway, so they come, they present her with the thing, and then she says, and now whatever, the most powerful person to ever come through this school. And I'm like, okay, so this is obviously a villain reveal because she said person, and there's two people there. And yeah, she reveals herself to be Royal Pain, a supervillain that the commander thought he defeated years ago. This is classic Taskmaster, like where they use a male's voice or a male stature to kind of trick you, throw you off the scent, only to reveal. And later on, he's like, wait, Royal Pain's a woman? She's like, yes, yes, I am a woman. So yeah, Patrick Warburton. Using a device called the pacifier that she got from the Sanctum, Gwen had once been turned into a baby and raised herself to become an adult again. She also had that sidekick sort of Stitches help her out and raise her. He calls her like his baby girl, and she like slaps him or something like that. So
right, he's like daddy's little girl.
Yeah. Uncle. Yeah. She's now back to seek revenge on the Commander and Jetstream by turning all the heroes and teachers at Sky High into infants. And during the homecoming dance, she activates the pacifier and begins to turn all the adults, including Will's parents, into babies. All that's ringing in my head is Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, where he's like, babies! They're babies! That's all I kept thinking. That's all I kept thinking. That's all that was ringing through my head. But yeah, I mean, I love how comic booky this is, right? I love that this is not like a ray gun or whatever, or it's like, when I press this button, the entire stock market will crash. It's like, no, it's like, I'm just going to turn y'all all into babies. And then what was her plan? She put them on like these like ski lifts.
Yeah. She's going to raise them to be like an evil army of supervillains.
Yes. The only problem with that plan is clearly she remembered being a person once. So why wouldn't they grow up to still be themselves?
Yes, or like plan, like, okay, we're all babies now, but in like 5 years we should all jump her, stab her.
My powers came in at 6. You better be ready,
Yeah. But I like the little baby ski lift thing. Like, where did this
she's
go?
A technopath.
She is a technopath.
I thought that too, and I'm like, oh, she's a technopath. She could just go, done. Oh, that's done. We're fine.
They're just babies everywhere. Babies. So, she turns everybody into babies. And then Will shows up, and I like that the sidekicks, everyone already knows because it's all just happened. Will comes in there to like expose Gwen, but she's already done everything that he's trying to warn everyone about. So they're all like, he's like, Gwen. He's like, yeah, it's Royal Pain. And she stole the pacifier. And she plans to turn everyone into babies. Like, yeah, that's all just happened. And they kind of stick by him, and they realize that he can't stop them alone, so they leap to action, willing to help their former friend, and I guess still friend, Mr. Thing. Everyone does something cool but Zach, right? What does Zach do in this instance? I know
he lights up in the ventilation systems. He makes the lights. So they know.
Okay.
Everyone had a little showcase of their powers.
Hey, everyone, the weird power finally has a use. Isn't that weird for a story?
Yeah, right. And I kept thinking to myself, if that gerbil bites that electrical cable, are they gonna kill this? Are they gonna kill this girl? Like, how does electricity work?
It's 2005. We weren't that dark yet. We didn't get that dark in superhero genre.
No,
that's 2008.
Yes. This Dark Knight territory, I think. Who you talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where are the drugs going, Magenta? Okay. Get it, drugs, guinea pig. But anyway, so Will confronts Royal Pain, his boo, his former boo. He finds out that he kissed a 40-year-old woman. Talk about a long game, right? Long con. Mm-hmm. She went up to a 14-year-old.
Kind of gross.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Think about it. Like that's
full long con. She's like, I will get this 14-year-old boy to fall in love with me, and then I'm gonna
of the SNL joke with The Rock, and they're like, oh, Villa decided. He's like, oh, this is a child molesting robot.
Oh, bro.
God. Oh my God.
I
watch it. I don't want to ruin it for you.
This is. I hope no one clips this out of context. Yeah, but I absolutely love that sketch because everyone's like, "That is horrifying." He's like, "I thought that's what we were supposed to do."
Yeah.
Like, I thought it's supposed to be
the most evil thing possible. Like,
I thought we were all evil. He's like, "No, but that's just crossing the line." He's like, "I gotta do the line though. I gotta do." They go, "How do you build?" Sorry. They go, how do you build a person molesting robot? He goes, well, first you get the robot and then you molest it.
Yeah. No, yeah. We're veering off topic, but
yeah, just a little bit. Let's get back onto this high school movie about superpowered people real quick. It's not my fault. They did the Wonder Woman thing where like a very older person is kissing somebody who has no idea how old they are. That was on them. That wasn't on me. Anyway. So they get into this fight. She throws him off out of the school. Throws him off
straight up thing.
He gave her a soft Loki treatment before the Loki treatment was a thing.
Yeah, I dug him getting her head stuck in the disco ball. There's a moment where he kicks her up her head
and they were getting tossed around. So shouts out to the wire work.
It reminds me of before we started getting actual choreographed superhero fights. This was a lot of what superhero fights were back in the day. Before we got like hand-to-hand kind of stuff, it was just like, I'm super strong, so I'll just grab you and throw you halfway across the room, pick you up and throw you halfway across the other side of the room.
I mean, because chronologically speaking, you can tell they've been in school for a while, and you can tell he only just switched over to the hero class because he has no idea how to fight.
No,
if he squared up with superpower, he should have won that in a hand easily.
The son of Commander.
Yeah, and then he's just throwing haymakers and body slams, and he's not finishing the fight. He's like stopping to be like, oh no.
Yeah, I did like that. Royal Pain gives her entire villain monologue to a baby. And then it's like the biggest tragedy is that you have no idea what I'm talking about.
My only regret is that you.
That's what it was. That's what it was. My only regret is that I have bonitis. But I do like what when she says Mary Elizabeth Winstead is killing it in this. This had to have been the early days for her. I'm glad she has the career that she has now, but it's cool to see a little bit of flickers of some of that stuff in this. Where she played like the lovable girl like she would in Scott Pilgrim, and then ends up being sort of a murderous force like the Huntress and other, a whole slew of other roles that she's had. I think she really nailed it in this, and I like the reveal, the whole Royal Pain's idea of it, that it will come back to Commander, and he does manage to inherit his mother's ability to fly. That's what saves him from being thrown out of the window. Again, because of just how the way things play out in this film, it still feels like he has the ability of luck because he literally found out when he was flying right before he died. But it could be a whole puberty distress. That's a other trope, right? You get your powers under massive distress.
Yeah, massive. Yeah, Magneto.
Yes.
Also,
the most distress. The most.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
the most distress.
Hey,
we're not doing an Olympics here. We're not comparing or doing any oppression Olympics here. But he was. Yeah.
Though during this fight, how you see like when he's like, I'm gonna chase after her, and they're like, it's like all of his friends are like, we'll take on the bullies.
Yeah,
and then you have Layla, the multiplying cheerleader, chase after Layla, and then you have the two bullies fighting Warren, and then Popsicle, as they called him.
Yeah,
and then Popsicle finally gets to give the one bully a swirly, and getting his face stuck in the plumbing, so he died because he drowned.
Yes.
And then he goes out and becomes the Popsicle, and the speedster slips and goes through the wall. So like the guy who's been tortured this whole time, he literally is the reason they win against those two. And then when Layla's fighting the cheerleader and she summons the plants, it was very Evil Dead. It was
vines and stuff like that. Yeah.
My favorite part. Yeah.
Also, that was played up as a badass moment because throughout the entirety of this movie, she is saying that she refuses to use her powers against other people. And they really put her against, the grain here and forcing her to do it. But the way all those mirrors and stuff just shatter and, you just see all these plants come through. I was like, this is kind of badass. And I mean, if you've read Swamp Thing or anything about Poison Ivy, we're on Earth. It's like all plants. So she's way more powerful than they're giving her. Like I said, they're making her look like a flower child, she's just like a hippie woman, but she could quite possibly take over the school if she wanted to, if she needed to. So that's interesting as well.
And thankfully she's not the villain. Because I don't know if they're beating her.
Because Will is obviously the villain. He's been given everything in life, still finds a way to complain, and then still finds a way to leave with everything in life. The true villain of this film. So they end up reversing the effects of the the pacifier. They start restoring people, but also Gwen has sabotaged the school's anti-gravity drive, so the whole entire school is falling from the sky. The sidekicks successfully restarted. That's the whole instance we were talking about with Magenta biting the wires and stuff. But Will manages to save the school from falling to the ground and returns the school to the sky. It says that the dude who was there that it almost fell on that was Tom Kenny. Yeah, it's Tom Kenny who voices SpongeBob. Yeah, that's the voice of SpongeBob. Really?
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
Way excited about that.
I didn't recognize him off the rip. There was another face. I was like, I freaking know that person, but I don't know who it is. And
rewatching it, I was like, yo, Tom Kenny was in this.
That's funny.
Ice King, SpongeBob, like what?
So,
it was random.
All right, so while you're catching up, my only issue with the flying scene, I'm okay with him being thrown out and figuring out he can fly. That makes sense, with all of that.
Right.
And then him being able to kind of utilize his strength and flying simultaneously, almost to mastery instantly, I can buy if you assume he's a genius. But the fact that when he jumps out to the spin, to the twist, goes up and lands these acrobatic moves that only I would assume that someone who's been flying for a while would have. He just does them. I'm like, okay, that I don't believe that part. But everything else,
well, that's what's funny is that's some of the most fun you can sometimes have in reading somebody a new character or going back to an origin story is the mishaps that happen as they kind of figure out how all this stuff kind of works. And again, because he has the gift of luck, Will doesn't have to figure out how any of this stuff works because everything instantly works for him. And thus he literally managed to win, save the citizen by like what, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. I'm telling you, people, look back at the footage. I feel like the teacher in Incredibles. Coincidence? I think not. It's luck. That bastard has luck. He has luck on his side. Look at that mom. But anyway, so, I mean, what up, girl? Saves that, all that kind of stuff. So after the fight, Will reconciles with Layla and realizes his feelings for her. The Commander and Jetstream are proud of Will, not only for his powers, but for his heroic actions. Warren, a once bitter rival, becomes a friend. Will's relationship with his sidekick friends remains strong, and the school system begins to change, removing the strict divide between heroes and sidekicks. The movie closes with Will reflecting on his journey. He also kind of notes on the side that Ron has superpowers because he fell into a vat of radioactive chemicals. So he becomes a superhero as well. Also, I want to note a hell of a funny moment where the parents are talking, and she says something along those lines, right? It's like, well, you know, it's not like he could just get dumped in a batch of chemicals. And then Kurt Russell like looks up, and she's like, no, because he told me he would.
and he said, where do we even find chemicals?
Yeah. You see, I'm telling you, man, absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, the movie closes with Will reflecting on his journey, noting that while his freshman year at Sky High was anything but normal, it turned out well. But I actually like how he actually stated it. He was like, my girlfriend became my nemesis, my best friend became my girlfriend, and I can't remember what the last one was. My nemesis became my friend. Yeah, my nemesis became my friend. So full circle.
That's high school.
Yeah, and like I said,
that is high school.
That's high school. Yeah,
100%. I thought this was thoroughly enjoyable. I thought this was thoroughly enjoyable. Just short circuited there for a little bit.
This is fine. I got it.
I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable. Obviously, you have a lot of the same tropes, like with any sort of superhero school or stuff like that. I remember Aaron was affectionately calling this My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia High.
Yeah, my Hero Academia High. I'm surprised I haven't heard more about this film, to be honest. Given the cast and given how prevalent superhero stuff is now, I guess coming out on its 20th anniversary, I wouldn't be surprised if something were to arise. But if it did, don't believe that they thought about it independently. They got that idea right here on the Major Issues podcast, as every one of those characters do. But as we go to put a button on the end of this episode and say goodbye to our kids over there at Sky High, do any of you guys have some final thoughts on this film? Anything that surprised you upon rewatch? I had absolutely no expectations going in, but you guys kind of remembered it from the past and then had to watch it now. Is there anything that sort of caught your eye?
I love that the trope with all high school movies is always homecoming or prom is the climax.
And it's a week away. It's always a week away.
Exactly. Whenever they put all of Bully's and Royal Pain in the chamber where they don't have the powers, where she goes, I went through puberty twice for this. Yes. I laughed. I had a belly laugh. Yes. But all in all, I would go 7 out of 10. It was fun. I mean, I know it's Disney-fied, and that's all. It's fine. It was as good as I remember. Also, as a side note, I have seen rumors of a sequel online, but no one real has said that.
Okay.
I've just seen internet rumors.
I'll piggyback off of your comment of that scene, because the other line that gets said in that scene that I thought was pretty clever was the principal walks away and goes, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with you guys. I'm not Wonder Woman. I'm like, dig that. Oh, and doesn't he say something like, there's big trouble somewhere? And I'm like, Kurt Russell, big trouble. He doesn't say Little China. He says there's big trouble somewhere else. It's like, there's big trouble downtown. I was like, yeah, okay, bro. Hey, Rob, final thoughts on Sky High?
I just wish there was more. Like it had, like you said in the past, like you said before, like it had a massive cult following, like, and it still does to this day. Like, I kind of want more. Give us that TV. Just Disney Plus is a thing now. Give us Sky High, like high. I don't know.
There was a
like, I want more of this. I want more of this universe. Like, I'm intrigued with the characters. Like, it's campy, it's fun. It doesn't try too hard to be a comic book movie. It's really just a high school movie with an addition of these characters have powers, and they just go about their high school lives.
I thought the score worked. I thought the special effects were nothing wonky. In the beginning, there's some plant stuff that's a little bit whatever, but I thought. Yeah, I was saying, I think, but like, there's like 2020 movies that look terrible, bro. So it's like, I'm not saying it's a sign of its time. But yeah, like, I feel like this movie is very similar to Scott Pilgrim. Is a movie that's worth watching because it gives you such a snapshot of that time period, who was coming up, who was coming down, as far as their acting careers, and how the world felt about this sort of genre and these characters at this time. In just 3 years, Iron Man comes out and The Dark Knight, and both of them revolutionized what comic book movies would be moving forward. But when we were still kind of in this like jokey around kind of stuff, and I think they nailed, like I said again, the comedy and stuff, the twist. But one of the other reasons I really wanted to watch this was everyone that I knew that was younger than me had seen it and loved it. There's like a metric ton of real fans of, like we were just saying, cult following. People who did catch this, everyone who caught this has said something good about it. No one has said anything bad. And then I guess it's one of those things where if you have seen this, you're very confused why no one hasn't, because it's so kind of close to you. So like, I was like, I just never got around to seeing it. I would have been 16 when this film came out. 16. So right around that age of high school, Will, and all that kind of stuff. But I recommend it. If you guys haven't seen it, I'm surprised you listen to me talk about it, but go ahead and check it out.
It's a fun hour and a half.
Yes.
For anyone that wants to see it.
Yes. And it's always fun to talk about something I've never seen on here, which is getting rarer and rarer. And as we continue to move forward, we're kind of coloring in all my blind spots. But good thing about comic books and comic book media, there's always something to cover. We're going to have a hellacious fall/winter period where we have Joker on deck, Agatha, Craven. I feel like I'm missing a show. All kinds of shows, all kinds of productions coming soon, and they'll all be available at the same place, ComicBookClique.com and the Major Issues Podcast. So if you guys want to support what we do here, you can go to ComicBookClique.com. It has every single episode of the Major Issues Podcast. It has articles written by us. It has our merchandise, or at least a link to it. If you hit that Shop CBC link, you can purchase something at our TeePublic store. Everything is designed by me, and we get a kickback for every single thing purchased. So not only do you get to walk around with the unique design, but we get a little bit of a kickback here. It helps us afford the hardware and the software that we need to keep providing content for you guys free of charge. We do this as a labor of love, the Major Issues Podcast, every week. It is filmed live and streamed live upon recording, but the audio version is available wherever podcasts are found every Thursday. And that's wherever podcasts are found. Like I said, Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, the Apple Podcast app, TuneFind, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Kind of glad. If you Google Major Issues Podcast, we are the first ones to come up. If you Google Comic Book Clique, we are the first ones to come up. We've been here for quite some time, and we ain't going nowhere. We're going to do 2 puberties if we have to, just like Royal Pain. And and we love what we do here over at Comic Book Clique. So go ahead and check out all of our stuff over there. We are in our 5th month of a partnership with DirtSheet Radio, the guys over there who are killing it in the world of pop culture and professional wrestling. John Escudero, who runs a tight ship over there, has a bunch of cool cats and kittens talking about professional wrestling and pop culture. And we'll have them on the podcast soon. If not, I believe the next episode, we're going to have GT Rebirth and Yogi on, those guys who are killing it over at Dirt Sheet Radio. But yeah, if you like professional wrestling, if you like pop culture, go ahead and spend some time over on their side of the fence. They do live reviews every single day. So there's always something on. Just turn the Dirt Sheet Radio on. There's always going to be something playing. Check those guys out. They do a hell of a job covering the stuff that they cover. And we'll be here each and every Thursday doing the Major Issues podcast and then just spontaneous recordings live. So just catch us when you can catch us. Get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. Rate and review us on iTunes. It's the quickest way for us to grow as podcasters and find out what you like and what you don't. Because I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic books and comic book media, but I can't tell you how we do it because then it will mess up the timeline. And next thing you know, the person playing the commander is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now there's piss bottles all over the set. Now there's piss bottles all over the set of Sky High too. Are you guys happy about that? Because I'm not. So get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon becomes full. The Major Issues podcast is the Babe Ruth rookie card of podcasts, which means we're only going to go up in value. Get on the bandwagon. Join us. We're going to the moon. But I think that's all of my plugs. Asa, I know you're in a little bit of a moving situation, but do you have anything you'd like to plug for the people out there?
I'm still doing the Twitch thing. I was really big on Concord for a minute. Unfortunately, like everyone else, I was one of like 7 people that bought the game.
Right. I've heard.
I'm trying to go Tuesdays now, but that was the game I've been focusing on. So I believe I'm going back to Elden Ring for the time being. Tuesdays, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, twitch.com/CBC All-Star Asa.
All right. Go ahead and check Asa out over there. It's absolute blast. Are you still snapping over there, A-Rob?
Yeah, man. Snap all day, every day at Omega Avenger 26 on Twitch. Of course, you can follow me out all the things at A-Rob the Marvel God. Yeah. That's the plugs.
Yeah.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet, and that's what we're doing over here on this episode. But I will be remiss if I didn't tell you guys that my name is George Serrano, aka the Doc.
And I'm All-Star Asa.
And I'm A-Rob the Marvel God.
And this has been our Sky High recap and review. And remember, whether you're a hero, a villain, a sidekick, a technopath, a shapeshifter, or you glow like a highlighter, remember that we are the Clique. And always remember that you, yes, you are worthy.